this month's episode of the Vodcast, I travelled into the Arctic Circle in search of the elusive aurora borealis. My journey began with a flight from London to the Norwegian city of Tromsø, from where I travelled into northern Finland and the tiny village of Karesuvanto. On my first night in Finland, my fellow aurora hunters and I ventured out into the forest surrounding the lodge. We gathered around the campfire for warmth, gazing skyward in the hope of spotting the glow of the aurora. But after hours of patient waiting, and with the stars still twinkling above, the northern lights still hadn't materialised, and we abandoned our vigil and returned back to the lodge. The next morning, I decided to talk to the lodge manager Ian about some of the great displays he had seen during his time in Karesuvanto.
When I came here at the end of October, November last year, there were a few displays on at that time, and being new to the area and new to the place, I thought the displays were impressive in my view at that point in time. And again, I thought that the colder months would be the best time to see them for some unknown reason to myself. And there were some reasonable displays over the period of time through November into December, in January and February. But we then found out, just from watching the displays, if you like, that I thought the end of February and the beginning of March to date have been the really best displays. There was one evening in particular when I had gone out with the Northern Light Safari on the snowmobiles, where we go with the customers into an area which is totally isolated, completely black. There are no light pollution whatsoever, and you have a 360-degree unobstructed view of the skies. And there's a display started that evening that I thought at the time was truly spectacular. Mostly greens, and it was the curtains and shimmering, and the patterns are moving all over the sky. Came back from that one because I thought I could have stayed all night, but there was a finite time and we returned home towards midnight. 2 nights later, going back out again, the display started early on. It possibly started around 7:30 to 8 o'clock or something like that there. And there was an earlier group had come out in the snowmobiles to literally view the northern lights. So they had started them, and when they were returning from their safari, they were commenting that the displays had been, from their point of view, excellent, fantastic, etc. While the group that I was with of guests were in having their briefing, I was still standing outside watching the display, and it was, again, I thought at the time, an excellent display. We got in the snowmobiles and we headed out. We had only gone into the trip maybe 10 or 15 minutes, which is not where as far as we would normally go, and we simply stopped. Because at that point in time, I thought the sky just caught fire. The colours were everywhere, the patterns were truly magnificent. It would be difficult to describe. And I don't know that they've invented a camera yet that could catch it. Because it was just with your eyes, as you would look at one part of the sky and think that was fantastic. Someone would point out another part of it, and you were quite literally turning your head from side to side, just trying to catch all of this as it was going on. And that lasted, I would think then, well, we came home again towards midnight, and it was dying down, but it was true to my mind, that is the most spectacular display I have ever seen, and if I never saw them again after that, I'd have been quite happy. Having said that, a few nights ago, for those that are in knowledge or that know about it, there was a sunspot that was responsible for an eruption or something like that, and there have been some brilliant displays again. I don't think there were as intense as the night that I remember, but they have been excellent displays again, just with the variety of the colours and the intensity of them, but not quite covering the whole sky for whatever reason, as the one that I had seen the second night I was out in the snowmobiles. I will remember that for quite some time to come.
Buoyed by Ian's descriptions of a night sky blazing with colour, I couldn't wait for that evening's aurora watch. As the sun set and the silvery gibbous moon appeared over the trees, I was becoming more and more anxious that I wouldn't see anything on my trip. Tonight would be my final chance to see the northern lights. That evening, we travelled by snowmobile onto a frozen river, into the wilderness and away from light pollution. And as we pulled to a stop, there they were. Much of the northern horizon was covered in a green glow, and for about an hour, rays and waves of light came and went as particles accelerated into Earth's upper atmosphere caused the gases there to glow. I wasn't expecting how quickly the lights would actually move. They really shimmered, and you could really see them moving and morphing into different shapes. It was quite incredible. you see all these beautiful time lapses by the pro photographers, and you think that must be sped up, it must be slightly artificial, but no, it's there right in front of your eyes. You can see the bands and the columns pulsing and rays appearing and fluttering and shimmering around. Absolutely incredible. I just wasn't expecting how quickly and dynamic a movement it would be. It was remarkable. At one point we even had aurora coming right down overhead from us. We could see the rays coming down almost as if we were in a sort of underneath a waterfall of the Northern Lights. It's a night I'm going to remember for the rest of my life.
If you're thinking of chasing the Northern Lights yourself, don't forget to bring your camera. Here are my top tips if you want to capture an image of this beautiful celestial spectacle.
The best kind of camera to take a picture of the Northern Lights is one of these, a DSLR camera, but that doesn't mean that you can't take pictures using a normal point and shoot camera. There are some things you need to remember if you're doing this. One, you need to set the ISO sensitivity fairly high, perhaps in the region of 400 to 800 if you can. Another thing is look to see if your point and shoot camera has the ability to leave the shutter open for 15, 20, perhaps even 30 seconds at a time. That'll allow the camera to gather the light from the aurora and hopefully you get a brighter image. Also remember that whatever camera you're using, try and bring a lightweight photographic tripod. I'm using one with this DSLR and that will really help steady the shot. If you're using a DSLR camera to take pictures of the Northern Lights, try and set the lens to the shortest focal length it has. So on this one I've got it set at 18mm. That will be able to take in a huge sweep of the night sky, and that's great for capturing these wonderful sweeping vistas of the Northern Lights fluttering overhead. It'll also mean that you can get in some things like foreground scenery, which can really make an image, in fact. Focusing is also crucial. Now last night I was able to use the gibbous moon to focus on using the camera's autofocus function and then switching it to manual focus, so it just stayed in focus all night. But if you don't have the moon, you could perhaps set up the camera before the display or before you go out observing. Do it on the horizon or something like that, something that's far away with the autofocus, then switch to manual focus, and then you should have a camera that's in focus for the rest of the night and you should get crisp, sharp images of the aurora.
Well, that's it for this month's episode. If you're thinking of embarking on an aurora hunt yourself, there are lots of ways to do it. I travelled to Finland with the tour company Transun, but these other tour companies also offer trips to look for the Northern Lights.